Local stories, unfiltered access, the true pulse of our community. Welcome to the Trusted Local podcast.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Trusted Local podcast. My name is Scott. Thanks for joining us here on this episode. We're going to start off with our local spotlight, a couple of stories from around the town, around central PA. Number one, Hollidaysburg baseball, still in it. Now, we're recording this a little early, so I think they're playing today at 11 or something, and so hopefully you're following that along. But two other stories that we wanted to get into today. Number one is someone sent me a graphic, and it showed, it's from the city of Altoona, and it says GAEDC is offering funding to help improve eligible storefronts and commercial buildings in downtown Altoona. Eligible projects may include exterior upgrades like windows, doors, signage, lighting, painting, roofing, and other facade improvements. Grants up to $5,000, loans up to $30,000, low 2% interest rate. Funding is limited and approval is required before work begins. And then you contact the number there. So $5,000 in grants that can be used to, upgrade the front of your storefront is huge. In downtown Altoona, honestly, it has a bunch of really great properties that I feel like if they had a little bit of investment into it, you could get up to a $30,000 loan there. You get that and you can really revitalize. If you get a few businesses to do that, you can really revitalize that downtown in a good way. A lot of the complaints about downtown Altoona is, lack of parking and, just limited ability, limited places to go. I mean, 11th Avenue has a lot of great places. And so for a vibrant downtown, you need more of that. And the parking issue is another thing, but great opportunity if you are a downtown business owner looking to, secure a low interest loan. 2% is really good. You're not going to find that very many places. And then, opportunity for some grants. So head over to their Facebook page. That is the City of Altoona, PA. Just go to City of Altoona, PA government, and you can follow them there. And it's a GAEDC facade program. Another thing that, my family and I were on vacation a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about, while on vacation with my family, we were talking about how Altoona is now offering flights to Myrtle Beach. And I personally think that's a great thing. I would love to see more flights in and out of Altoona. We typically fly out of Pittsburgh. I know a lot of people that fly out of BWI. But Altoona, Johnstown State College, these smaller airports, Johnstown's actually done a pretty good job. I think they offer DC, Chicago a couple times a week. And there was rumor I had heard potentially that they're going to pick up a route to Orlando, which would be really nice. I would love to see that in Altoona, maybe. I don't know, but where would you like to see flights out of Altoona to? What destinations? I believe they're still going to Charlotte, and then they have this temporary deal for Myrtle Beach. So, what would be some flights that you would like to see out of Altoona, even Johnstown or State College? What are some good flights, some good destinations that you think would actually last and get get people's attention? From what I understood, the flights to Myrtle Beach are pretty much sold out. So that's good, and that's what we like to hear. So that takes us into our sponsor for today's episode, and it is European Motor Cars. European Motor Cars is the premier independent dealership alternative for complete service, diagnostic, and repairs on all European and exotic passenger vehicles. We take all of our cars to Chris and his team at European Motor Cars. They are very reliable, they are trustworthy, and they are the authority in Blair County for automotive repair. So check out European Motor Cars, 610 South Kettle Street in Altoona, or you can go to goemc.net. All right. So in our main block here, something that I had a conversation with a friend of mine who is a small business owner. He's in a different market than we are. He's out in the Pittsburgh area. And, we were talking earlier this week, and he's been in business 18, 19, 20 years roughly. And he saw a lot of success early in his career. He is someone that, had an idea, took a hobby and was like, hey, I can do this service for you. And, it just developed into this thing that he was doing on Friday nights, filming some football. And he blew this thing into a really nice 6-figure company. And recently he's been seeing that it's become a real struggle to get more work, to get consistent work. And there's a couple of different forces going on. Obviously, we have the AI battle that's going on right now. Businesses are using AI. It's cheaper. Sometimes it's quicker. Sometimes it's less work. But the other battle is the economy is kind of slow. And, people look at a lot of different things that service businesses offer. And what you have to demonstrate to them is the value of your service. And one of the things that we kind of touched on was what are small businesses valuing? They value their time, they obviously value their money, and they really need to protect those two things, their time, their money. And then, obviously the third thing is the product or service that they then provide. And I think as a society, and this then bleeds down into the businesses because business owners are parts of our society, I think we need to kind of reevaluate what we value. What are the things that are important? I always struggle with the word important. So do we value, and what's the priority of that value? In service businesses, you are doing a service for people. Most of the time, those services are things that you could do if you really wanted to, but you'd rather not. Maybe someone has more experience, more know-how, or, you just don't want to have to do that. A great example, we had shrubs on our property that were growing wild, and sure, I could have went out, I could have cut them down, hauled them away, cleaned it up, and be done. Or, we called a local company to come in and do that service for us. Shout out to CD3 Landscaping. So that's the trade-off. It's the same thing with a cup of coffee. You could make coffee at home, but you enjoy the experience. You value the experience of going out. I valued my time and, their ability. I probably would have killed the shrubs. They came in, they did a great job. I valued their expertise and their know-how and how to do things. So when it comes to business, I think this is really where we're going to see some struggle. Now that everyone's had a chance to play with AI and they're like, oh yeah, I can just type into ChatGPT, or I can type into Grok or Gemini or whatever it is. If you scroll through Facebook, you see who is using AI. everything looks the same. Now that everyone can use AI, everyone has the same look. No one's really sticking out anymore. Yeah, the first couple people, it was like, oh, that's an interesting graphic. But now everything is AI generated. And you're going back into the same rut of, well, if everyone's doing it, then I look like everyone. I'm not sticking out. I'm not being seen. So what should businesses do? Yes, this is a plug to go back to using people to design things for you. And I'm not saying that using AI is bad. I understand that some companies use AI because that's what they can afford right now. But I would encourage us to value people. And as creators, as people in service industries, especially creative services, we need to be able to really show our value. And that's something that, I want to work on even more with my companies. What is the value that we provide? Because yes, you could go and you could run everything, create your graphics and all that stuff. But is that going to help your business, or is that just going to add to the noise of everything going on around us? So I think maybe we need to evaluate that, because I think we are getting to the point. Our downtowns are getting less populated with businesses. Do we value having those businesses? So this is where I said it's a cultural thing too. Like, we need to all take some time to assess, is it worth spending a couple extra bucks? Potentially. I think there's a stigma that small businesses or locally owned businesses are always more expensive, but that's not the case. But if they are, and if you have to spend a couple extra bucks with a small business, is that worth it to you to help a small business? And you might say, me doing that once a month, me, going to a local business, maybe it's a service you only use once a year, or maybe you can only buy so many clothes from a boutique, or, use, a local company only a couple times a year. Yes, but that's why it's a societal, cultural mindset. Because it's not just you. You're doing your part. Your neighbors have to do their part. But the business owners have to do their part too. Like I said, we have to show the value that we provide. So that's what I'm calling for me to do, for you to do. Look at, what are you valuing in your life? And I get small businesses are struggling, families are struggling. This is going to be a time where it's going to be difficult. And I know that dollars need to be extended as far as possible. And that's part of the reason why I created Trusted Local. When you're looking for a local business, if you're someone who says, I want to work with a local business, I want to support a local business, and you're looking for plumber, electrician, accountant, whatever you're looking for, we want to build this out. And we're at the very, very beginning, right? We're at the very beginning of building out these trusted local businesses. And so if you're a business owner and you want to be a trusted local business, you want people to see that you are who you say you are, that you've built a reputation built on trust, built on quality and service, we would love to have you on the platform. So, what do you value? What is a small business that you can go out and support this weekend? Is there a business that you can go support? Maybe 2 or 3. I don't know. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, if you're a business owner in the downtown area, take advantage of those grants. I don't know when the deadline is, but take advantage of it. Go out, enjoy a small business this weekend, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.